So let's lean on in here, and I'll tell you what. Basically, I won't get into all the awards stuff and record sales, and we'll just talk shop. The things that are interesting to us. I might ask you about the leather pants, and how you deal with the chafing, Maybe, I don't know, you might just be calloused down there or something, but I don't know. I might get into that.
I'll tell you all about it.
Thanks. And we roll graphics package. Welcome, I'm Clint Black, and I am talking in circles with Travis Tritt. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, appreciate you making the trip. I know you didn't have anything else to do.
No, I didn't.
No.
That's why I get stuck talking to you,
That's it. Yeah, you and I go way back. We were part of that class of '89. We got to have a reunion here.
We should.
Yeah,
We
so
should.
I think the whole industry exploded in '89.
Yeah, it did.
It wasn't just us, but we were in that first wave, you, me, Alan, Garth, and so things just kept picking up and lifting up, and more and more things come along. I never dreamed I was going to be Super Bowl halftime. There we were.
Exactly.
Doing Super Bowl halftime.
Exactly.
We had all this choreography.
Yeah.
It's always fun to play and things like that, but being able to get down on the field and throw the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Stand around down there with those players, they're like giants when you're down there and they're all suited up.
And that still goes down today. I hear people talk about it. Still, people talk about that particular show, that particular halftime show, because it was focused probably more on the country music that was exploding at the time, probably more than any other. I don't think they've ever had a show like that since then.
It was more about the music. We had all the dancers and stuff, but it's gotten a lot bigger in production.
Yes.
That too has changed in country music because, country music kind of grew up technologically. So much has changed about the music, about the presentation of it, about the way we listen to it, the way we make it. And people like my daughter, she's grown up with all of the classic rock stuff I shoved into her iPod and all the country music that I've given her to listen to. And she also listened to the rap stuff. So when she hears that in her country music, it's nothing unusual to her. But for us,
Yes.
that was a real big change.
Well, I think when we first got started, I released those first 3 singles, which were Country Club, Help Me Hold On, I'm Gonna Be Somebody, which were pretty straight ahead, down the line country music. And I was very well accepted. And we got to that 4th single, which was a song called Put Some Drive in Your Country. And it had all these rock guitars, and I was just basically going back to some of my other influences, which outside of the straight ahead country stuff was Leonard Skinner, the Allman Brothers, stuff like that. And back in those days, as you recall, that was just not allowed. For whatever reason, they just didn't accept it. And I started getting, a lot of flack for just doing the kind of music that I wasn't trying to make any kind of big statement. I was just doing the music that I enjoyed.
But looking back, that was the country of the '90s, and I remember thinking at the time, there's a bunch of us, we knew all the country legends, we sang all those songs, but also the rock and roll of Bob Seger and the
Absolutely.
Skinner, and we brought that with us, and that brought a little bit of the change.
That's what brought I think our audience to us, because I had so many people back in those days tell me that we never listened to country music until you guys came out. You, Garth, Clint, Alan, we never really listened to country music. Country music was what our dads listened to. And you guys made it palatable for younger audiences, and more people started listening to country music as a result of what happened in '89 than had ever listened to it before.
Going through all those years, the explosive years in our career, it was a bit of a tightrope, especially, for singers.
Yeah.
It became a real battle to balance how you do that much stuff and still be able to put on your best show.
Yeah.
And for me, and I think it's the same with you, I'm not just out there singing my songs, to me, it's a Super Bowl every night.
It is.
Yeah.
It has to be. And you know, the thing that I always think about when you're doing shows is, you know, those people that are in the audience. First of all, I've always been humbled and honored by the fact that they're willing to spend their hard-earned money. I mean, a lot of these people, they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week to provide for their families, and they're willing to spend some of that hard-earned money to buy the music when it comes out, and more importantly, to buy concert tickets. They're not cheap. And so I've always tried to keep that in mind and try to give them the best of me that I possibly can when I get on stage.
So speaking of that Southern rock country, tell me about you and Charlie Daniels.
When I came out with that first single in '89, August of '89 with Country Club, the first real opening slot that I had, I played for a week during National Rodeo Finals at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas,
Great time.
opening for Charlie Daniels. And it was, I think, 6 nights, 5 nights, something like that. And every night when I'd go on, I could look over to the side and I saw the silhouette of that big hat. And he would come out and watch me from beginning to end. And at the end of the week, he always used to do his meet and greets at the end of the show. And he would have, you know, hundreds of people lined up, you know, to do the meet and greets. And the last night, he leaned out the door of the dressing room and he told the audience, he said, "Folks, I appreciate y'all waiting for me. I'll be right with you, but I got to go talk to my little buddy for just a second." And he grabbed me by the arm, and we went down the hallway the opposite direction.
You were going to get a spanking.
I thought I was in trouble. I didn't know what I did, but I figured I had to do something.
The boss man's bringing you down.
Exactly. And we walked down this long hallway, and there was a staircase going back this opposite direction. And he said, "Sit down on that step, I'm gonna talk to you." And he said, "I've been watching you every single night." And he said, "I enjoy what you do." He said, "In my opinion, you're gonna have a career in this business for as long as you want one." And he said, "I have never claimed to be the smartest guy on the planet, but," he said, "I have been in this business for a long time. And if you're new and you haven't been in this position for a long time," he said, it can be like being on an ocean that is stormy with no compass." And he said, "If there's any way in the world that I can be of help or be of service to you, if you need somebody to talk to or advice, here's all my numbers. Call me anytime, day or night." And I did, a lot.
Yeah.
Right? That was so special to me, and it meant so much, because it was just at the time when you need verification like that. You need somebody to come in and say, "Hey, you're doing this right, and let me help you do it even better."
When we were in the mid-'90s, I really try to grab a hold of as much of the creative stuff as I can, still, you know, relying on everybody around me to keep me from shooting myself in the foot. And I started directing my own music videos.
Yes.
No one else would hire me, but I got the job on my own videos. And this, at that time, you know, more than it is now, this was a real palette for us. And I know you did something. You may have been the first and maybe the only one, and I don't know if anybody still has done it, but you created that trilogy of videos where the songs tied together and the writing. How did that end up tying all three of those together and making those videos?
That first video that we did for Anymore, the thing that makes a great book or a great movie or a great television show, and even great songs in some cases, is creating characters that people care about. They really care about. And that first script, where I played the part of a disabled American veteran, all the characters, first of all, there was only about 4 actors that were in that. We shot it at the Alvin C. York Veterans Clinic in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And so everybody else that was in that video, with the exception of 4 actors, were either patients or staff. And it got me involved with a group of people. I was so worried about doing that, Clint, because I never served. And I was afraid that all these military people, all these disabled vets were going to look at me and go, who in the hell does this guy think he is coming in here and trying to play one of us when he's never served? So I went in with a lot of fear and trepidation before I started shooting that. And I'll never forget it. I walked into the gymnasium of that Veterans Clinic to start shooting the first morning. And they had a wheelchair, and of course all the cameras are around, and sat down in the wheelchair, and before the director could come out with the sticks and go, action, I found myself surrounded by all of these veterans that were in this clinic. And I found out very quickly they didn't hate me at all. As a matter of fact, they were glad that somebody was there to tell their story.
Yeah.
And in between takes, at the end of the day, I knew all of them by first name. They told me very personal, private, intimate stories about battles that they were in and how they had gotten injured and all these different things. And the one thing that they all said, which really hit home with me, was, you know what? If we had a chance, we would do it all over again.
That's amazing, yeah.
And I found out after that video came out that there were a lot of people that got attached to those characters. So the idea came up, well, you know, so many people, they want to find out what happened after that. What's the rest of the story? So we went in and we found another song that I had written for a later album, and we tied those characters into Tell Me I Was Dreaming. And we tied it into that particular video, and people just loved that, you know, and it was very dramatic. I mean, spoiler alert, my wife dies in the second one, you know. So it was...
Well, you've ruined it now.
I said
Oh, no, wait, I've seen it.
I said spoiler
I've seen
alert.
it.
I even had more people after that just came back. And it was because, quite by accident, we created characters that
Yeah.
people really cared about.
So you do these videos, and like me, people start offering you acting roles, right?
Yeah, right.
Which is a funny thing. I always said, you know, what makes them think I can act? All right, I'll try it.
Yeah, right.
And I had this great, first job, which was with James Garner and Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson, and you had something extraordinary along the same line with Willie, Waylon, and Chris.
Absolutely.
What was that?
We were doing a movie of the week for one of the television networks, and they approached us about doing it. And the cool part of it, for me anyway, was the fact they wanted to shoot it in Spain on the old Sergio Leone sets.
No.
Yes, sir, man. So I'm on all these sets where all these great Clint Eastwood films were done, the spaghetti westerns, and literally when you put the garb on, and you get on the back of a horse, you could be transporting yourself right back into the 1880s.
Yeah. Nobody better laugh at your horse, right?
Oh, no, man. We had so many great experiences over there. It was so much fun.
I mean, you travel over to Spain with 3/4 of the highwaymen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a lot of hang time with the guys?
Yeah, we would go to Willie's trailer and play poker. And that's where I got a good schooling from Willie on how to play poker or how not to play poker. I think he cheated me. I'm not sure.
If you're in a confined space with Willie, you're going to come out of there not sure of anything.
Absolutely.
So my dad, his idea of real country music was that a third grader has to be able to understand it.
Yes.
Or it is not country music. And I thought, that really is true. And if you look at the poetry of country music, a third grader all the way up until the day you die, country music speaks to you. And it
That's right.
always has brought that audience along.
Exactly.
And that was the greatness about the poetry of it.
Exactly. And I've always tried to do music on an album, just writing songs and performing them, songs that talked about things that were so in my life, things that I've been through. Dan Fogelberg, years ago, had one of the greatest quotes that I've ever heard, and I've stolen it from him and used it numerous times.
It's easier to steal it if you don't mention him, by the way. Get away with
Okay,
it a
then I
lot
borrowed
better.
it. But his quote was, I try to write music that objectively moves me, because I know that if I can objectively move myself, I can move other people as well. And that is so true. And so I've always tried to write songs or do songs that I could relate to. I could relate to the experiences, relate to the things that they were talking about. And that's been one of the greatest things about country music traditionally, since its very beginning, is the stories, man.
Yeah.
The stories, because no matter what your background is, where you come from, there's something in country music traditionally that talks about how you feel.
Now, I've known you a long time, and we've hung out in recent years, and I don't see everything, that comes up on YouTube, but I see a lot of what you put on the Instagram and TikTok and all that. Why didn't I know you play banjo? I don't see you doing that. I don't see you playing it anywhere. Have I just missed
Well, as one of the biggest reasons for that is, as Earl Scruggs used to say, you know what 5 million banjos in the bottom of the ocean is?
a good start?
Damn
But
good
listen,
start.
I love the banjo.
I do too.
I've got
but
one
by
of the,
itself, it's not a great instrument, trust me. Actually, I played banjo for most of my career, but I did it in private.
Why are you ashamed of your banjo heritage, Travis? Why?
When I finally did start playing, I used to go over Earl Scruggs every year at his birthday. Used to have a picking party for his birthday, and everybody was there. I'm talking about everybody from Emmylou Harris to Dolly Parton to Ricky Skaggs to little Jimmy Dickens. All these people would come over and just
I
pick.
never heard about that. What was going on with that?
Your invitation must have got lost in the mail.
I never got any mail.
But Louie Scruggs, Earl's wife, loved me. And so she started inviting me to come over, and we would just go over there and pick. And then a few years later, Earl recorded Foggy Mountain Breakdown with Steve Martin and Paul Schaefer and Jerry Douglas and Vince Gill and Leon Russell, and I mean, it was an all-star band, won a Grammy. So we were doing
this
bluegrass show
Yeah.
in Nashville at the Ryman, and Steve Martin was supposed to come in. They were going to do that recreation of that, and Steve Martin couldn't make it. So Louise Scruggs walked up to me backstage, and she used to wear her glasses way down on her nose, and she peered over those glasses and she said, Steve Martin cannot be here today, so you are going to have to play Steve Martin's part. And I said, Louise, I can't do that. She said, I've seen you do it, and I know you can do it, and furthermore, you will do it. And man, I was shaking like a possum getting a peach seed, man, out there. But it was nerve-wracking, but I went out and did it. And then as a result of that, I get a call a few weeks later from Ricky Skaggs. He was doing a tribute album to Bill Monroe called The Big Mon. And he wanted to know if I would come in and do Little Georgia Rose on that and play banjo on it. I did a tour, short tour with Earl, and just had fun. I mean, it's something I really enjoy. But now, see, the problem is when you start working with all these great bluegrass players, you don't want to play with anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
When you're-
So I should not expect you to play the banjo with me. I'll make a note here of that. Well, I think you should bring it next time. Well, let's write us a song with a little T on banjo.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you making the trip over here.
Oh, man,
I
thanks
didn't
for
want to
having
do this show without you.
I appreciate you having me, buddy. Thank you so much.
You bet. Well, I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Though. When you get to heaven,
Yes.
if you could play a song with anyone who's already there, who would it be and what song would you play?
I would probably want to sing the trilogy with Elvis.
You know, he was on my short list.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember being so influenced by him as a kid and watching him on television. And the thing that impressed me about him so much was the fact he could do anything. You know, he could do rock, gospel, blues, country, and everything he did, he was great at. And I didn't even know at that time, I had no dreams or aspirations whatsoever of ever being in this business. But I remember thinking in the back of my mind at some point, you know, if I ever became a singer, I would want to do it like that guy and be able to cover a bunch of different genres and try to do them all well.
Well, everybody loves you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.